Shabbat Shalom. Parsha NITZAVIM begins with an idea that Hashem is making a covenant, but not with you alone, says Moshe, speaking to the Jewish people, but with those who are standing here with us this day before the Lord our God, and with those who are not with us here this day. So that's all-encompassing. It's an idea of a covenant. A covenant is not a contract between two people. It's between two entities. When you get your car insurance, it may be 20 years later you still have the same company you're dealing with, and nobody on the board of directors and none of the stockholders are still alive. But your contract between you and them continues. And so it is. The arrangements between Hashem and the Jewish people are being sealed finally and forever in the parsha we read today. And it is no coincidence that this parsha is read just prior to Rosh Hashanah, the day of the sounding of the shofar. You know, Rav Saadia Gaon lists 10 reasons, but his first reason for sounding the shofar is as follows: because this day marks the beginning of creation, in which the Holy One, blessed be He, created the world and ruled over it. And thus it is done with kings, blowing on trumpets and horns before them to announce and proclaim the beginning of the reign throughout the world, throughout the universe, throughout the land. Similarly, on this day, we proclaim the Creator, our King, with trumpets and the blast of the horn, raise and shout before the Lord the King. And so this is a very central thought between us and God, the coronation of the King on Rosh Hashanah. And so Parsha NITZAVIM, which states the conclusion of the eternal covenant between God and the Jewish people, is appropriate at this time. I want to add one other thought, because it's something that we've been dealing with throughout the Elul, which is also in NITZAVIM, as though to wrap up the central issues of tshuva, which will continue right in through Yom Kippur. It says about this commandment, which Chazal has told us is either the Torah itself or tshuva. For this commandment, which I command you this day, is not concealed from you, nor is it far away. It is not in heaven that you should say, who will go up to heaven for us and fetch it for us, to tell us so how we can fulfill it? Nor is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will cross to the other side of the sea for us and fetch it for us, to tell us so that we can fulfill it? Rather, this thing is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can fulfill it. Tshuva is a tremendously important gift from God. It's not an obligation, it's an opportunity. God understood that man is imperfect and makes mistakes. And with that in mind, God created the idea of tshuva, and didn't make it impossible, made it tremendously possible. Right? That is a thing that is in your mouth, vidui, in your heart, your commitment between you and Hashem. Keep in mind, very important, when you're thinking about tshuva, when it involves your fellow, that you also have to make amends for your fellow and seek forgiveness from your fellow before making amends to Hashem. David Ostriker, here in Eretz Yisrael, in the gift of Hashem, wishing you Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat NITZAVIM, And I do hope to speak to you one more time before Rosh Hashanah, but on that day, it's prohibited to sound the shofar. Shabbat Shalom, David O. and Karmi'El.